Today's trigger comes from on last week. We watched a 24-year-old black man at work because he was playing football suffer a medical emergency in front of millions, those there, including his family, those that saw it on television, the fans in the dome, and we were frightened. Not just frightened, but we were worried, we were scared. We came together, we prayed, we interceded on behalf of his mother, because if you have a child, and you, mother or father, if you have a child, then your heart aches for other parents when they're going through something of this magnitude. And so there were grown men crying, and they were triggered. And the reason why I believe the world as a whole was triggered, I remember watching the movie that Will Smith played in a couple of years back, talking about the danger of football. And nobody really wants to talk about it, but yes, I think it's CTE is affecting a lot of football players. And the sad part about it is they can't really technically diagnose it until after they've been dead. So post-mortem, where they're able to dissect the brain and see. But many studies have shown that there are signs and, of course, symptoms and warnings that we should be aware of if somebody is suffering from this. And I think it's safe to say that anybody can agree that taking a couple of hits to the head and to the body has to be damaging. No matter what kind of helmets you have on, no matter what kind of equipment that you wear on the body, we understand that there is risk. And it's not something to be taken lightly, because yes, that was his job and he's getting paid to do it. But my trigger came in on Friday. I went to a local basketball game, high school basketball game. It was my alma mater against my daughter's alma mater. And it's, these are nice sized boys, but they were playing to win. And that is the mentality we give them. You're going out there, you're going to win, and then hopefully you'll get a scholarship to college and then be drafted in the NBA or the NFL. But you got to be the great. You got to be one of the greats. You can't just be average. You got to be the LeBron, the Michael Jordan, the Kyries and the Steph Curry. Like, you have to Kobe, you got to be on those levels, and so you got to practice, and you got to be hard, and you got to be tough, and you got to. So we are instilling this into our kids, not just the boys, the girls too. So I'm watching the game, and I'm on pins and needles, because I feel like if something happens while we're here, this is something that we will never be able to bounce back from. Like, we're always going to feel this type of fear. And to watch boys play is incredible. I like to see them doing what they love, but they're tough and they're rough, and they're so competitive that it's like, you want to cheer for everybody, but you know that there's only one winner, and then there's, of course, the one that didn't win. But these boys going so hard, and you could tell they get hit and they kind of just shake it off, and they out there and they getting the ball back. They back on defense, and then they dunking the ball, and then they like on their Allen Iverson. Like they are amazing to watch, because you know that this is skills that they're doing, and this is something, a lot of talent that they were born with. A lot of it, is work off the court, on the court, at home. Like, they live these sports. And so when they go down, your heart stops. Even if it isn't your child, you're like, oh my God, like, is he hurt? And then, of course, we see a kid being taken off the court and we cheer. But what triggered me? My daughter, she's 16 now. She has epilepsy. And for 7 years, she didn't have not one seizure. And she decided she wanted to play basketball. I tried everything. With all three of my kids, I tried everything: softball, gymnastics, basketball, cheerleading, and I let them figure out what works. So what works for one didn't work for the other. Basketball just happens to be her thing. She's good at it. She loves it. But her body will not allow her to play basketball. So every basketball game since 2020, she has a seizure. There was one game she played, she didn't have a seizure. The fear of watching her fall in the middle of the game, the beginning of the game, is something I would never wish on anybody, because my heart and my breath usually stops until the moment when she comes back. The one thing that she really loves to do, the one thing she's great at, the one thing that gives her joy, her body won't allow her to do. And I don't know how to, I didn't know how to sympathize with that. So I felt that it was something she needed to talk to somebody about. But as a family and as a unit in which we are, we knew that we had to have precaution plan. We all have to a part to play when this happens. And it was last November, very first game of the school year, her school high school year. And I was sitting on the top, on the second row in my little chair, the stadium chair. And something just pushed me forward. And I had her medicine in my back pocket, but I sat in a way that God pushed me to be ready to just run, no matter what side of the court she was on. And the moment the seizure hit, her father and I jumped up, ran to her, and we grabbed her before she hit the ground. And I administered her medicine, and then her sisters kept the crowd back. They tried to, it's a part we all play. It's very traumatic. But to see the pain, or just to know, like they said, when DeMar Hamlin, when he woke up, he wanted to know who won, because they still have that competitive in there. She's done that. She wanted to get back up and play, but the mama in me said no. So he is progressing. He's talking. He's breathing on his own. It's a miracle. But at 24, cardiac arrest. Now, mind you, NFL players are supposed to be in tip-top shape health-wise. They have team physicals and team doctors, and they're supposed to be looked at. But what more can be done? Because now the question is, should he return? The question is, what is the NFL going to do in the future with cases like this? Who do we hold responsible? Nobody can play God. So we couldn't predict what was going to happen. But we know that taking hits to the body isn't ideal repeatedly. And the ones that be the ones higher at the top, they still get paid. And I heard somebody say how once you can't play anymore or you are no longer beneficial to the NFL, you get cut off financially, health care, and then what? So my trigger comes in is how much of our bodies do we sacrifice for money? How much do we allow to take place before we demand more? And not just NFL, NBA, baseball, hockey, boxing. I'm a boxing fan, big boxing fan. So I watched the Davis versus Garcia fight. And the punches, I felt them. I was like, but in round 8, which I knew it was going 8 rounds, so I predicted 8 rounds. The blow to his head, to Garcia's head from Davis, he was dazed and confused. He had no idea what had happened, where he was, or what was going on. He chose not to go back out, which was very smart, and I commend him for knowing not to. And I respect Davis for understanding Javante. I respect him for understanding that Garcia had enough and that it was over. But he wasn't cocky. He wasn't disrespectful. I want to say he was compassionate. But boxing is a pretty brutal sport, but it makes a lot of money. And is it enough money to risk your body, your brain, your being? Is it enough money for that? Like, when is it time to say that's enough? Like, how many blows to the head? Because we've seen, I even heard Floyd Mayweather say that he know that his memory is gonna go. And he knew it because his dad went through. Like, so do we know all the risks? Or do we know and we don't care? Because of the dollar amounts? Because today we live in a society where it's gimme, 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 gimme. I need all of mine. Give me the bag, give me the bag. And so chasing the bag comes with a price tag. And how do you know when to walk away? How do you know that chasing this dollar or trying to make this up, because it's all about legacy. Everything that we're doing is about legacy, leaving it for the next generation, for our next generation, for our grandkids and our great-grandkids. That's what it's for. But I am going to ask, is the money more important than the time? Because I want the bag and I want to leave it for my grandkids. But I also want to be there. So how do we, gauge, make it balanced? Do I have enough money so that I can spend the time? Or should I get more money and have less time? So there's a question to how much am I willing to risk chasing the bag? And I still don't have an answer, but I do know, as a person, as an empath, as an intuitive, somebody that's gifted, I know when to say when. Now, because I ain't got the big bag yet. I don't know, it could change. But for me, memories, time, those matter the most to me. Like, I'm the type of person that take pictures all the time. We do vacations. I want to have every memory and every experience documented, so we can look back and say, we did that, we had fun here, we did that, this, and that. So I've never been materialistic. I'm the same person that got the real bags and the fake bags. It just matters. It doesn't matter. It's just what I like. But how much is enough?